Hi! If you're new here, my name is Anna and today I'm going to be reviewing EF Ultimate Break's Ultimate Europe Plus trip. So if you've never traveled with EF before, I have some good news. I am an EF Ultimate Break ambassador and I have a $100 discount code with them. So if you use my discount link that's in the description, it will take $100 off automatically any trip. So happy shopping. They have over 130 destinations and I've seen that it's like the most popular trip with people who haven't traveled with EF before. So that's why I'm gonna be getting into it today. I was so excited to go on this trip. It was my 5th trip that I've taken with EF Ultimate Break, so definitely not a newbie with them. It's super fun to meet a bunch of people who hadn't traveled with them before. I would say 80% of the people that were on my trip hadn't traveled with them before, so it was really cool to see their perspective on how EF trips worked. But I'm here to tell you everything about this trip, so you won't be super surprised. Even I was surprised at some things, so I'm definitely trying to be a good resource. But this is a super long trip, so I was very surprised to see that so many people were just like kind of sending it and just going full month-long trip with them without really experiencing a trip with them before. So today I'm going to be covering accommodations, money and budgeting, transportation, food, and just random tips that I have, which definitely you should look at. If you're going to look at anything in this video, go to my random tips, because I cover just like a lot of things that I wasn't expecting or things that I would have wanted to know beforehand. And I'm going to be making a whole separate video on excursions and like random things that I planned and TD optionals. So if you want to see that, head over there. I'll link it in the description. But all my chapters are up, so if you don't care about one section, just feel free to skip around. So I am going to start with accommodations per usual. I'm just gonna give a tiny little description since there's so many different hotels that we stayed at. I did the plus version, definitely different from the essential version, and I'm super glad that I ended up pushing this trip just randomly a year and they came out with the plus version right when I was rebooking. We were one of the first tours to use the plus version, so we're kind of the guinea pigs for the accommodations. This used to be a backpacker trip, so they technically had a mix of hostels and like 2 or 3 hotels, but now it is strictly essential and plus. So essential is all hostels and plus is all hotels. I had one roommate for the entire time. It's just you and one person. Some people did switch around, but me and my roommate really liked each other, so we stuck together the whole trip. Obviously it's up to you and up to your TD on how they figure that out. Most of the time the beds were shoved together, as you will see in my footage. That's just a European thing because space is so limited. I will say most of the hotel rooms were really small, especially Paris, so I can't imagine how the hostel situation is. They probably had no space to even move if we didn't in the hotels. Most of the places were twin beds. We got lucky with a few queens, but most were twin. And now I will give you a rundown of each hotel in each city. So in Barcelona, we stayed at the Catalonia Park Puxit. It was a nice sized room and bathroom. We had a tub shower. The AC was freezing, so definitely worked. It had a small pool on the roof with really nice views. The location was kind of far from stuff. These had the beds pushed together and they were not the most comfy. I give it a 6 out of 10 comfort level. Cleanliness rating, it was a standard hotel. I'd say 8 out of 10. Overall rating, I'd give this place an 8 out of 10. There weren't any problems and it wasn't blowing my mind, so standard 80%. So in central France, they have changed this itinerary. Now the plus version does not go to central France, but we did, unfortunately. Now the plus version will be taking a train straight from Barcelona to Paris, which is super nice. We were so delusional coming off of like a 9-hour bus ride. That was a really rough day, so props to EF for changing that itinerary because that was like the worst travel day for sure because it was so long. But in central France, I'll tell you where we stayed anyway. We stayed at the Ibis Styles Clermont-Ferrand Gare. This was a terrible situation. We had a shower with 0 door and it was slanted the wrong way, so the water wasn't heading toward the drain. We flooded the bathroom and the bathroom was big, so like there was water everywhere. We stayed here for 1 night. The room was spacious enough, but the bathroom was kind of long and awkward. The beds were also pushed together here. They were not super hard but not soft, so I give it like a 7 out of 10. Cleanliness here was standard, so I give it an 8 out of 10. And I would say besides the shower flooding, I give it like a 7.5 out of 10 just because of the shower. The breakfast here was good though. So in Paris, we stayed at the Compagnie Paris 19. It was so tiny. This room was the tiniest we had the entire time, and it fits because it is Paris. I could barely open my suitcase to fit on the ground around and I had to like jump over it to get onto my bed. The shower was actually like a cube. I had to basically shower like this. I could barely like wash my hair in there. Like there was just zero space to like even have your elbows out. Shaving, forget about it. That's not happening. At least I had a door. Also here, the workers literally busted into our room without knocking one morning and just left it open while they were like doing electrical work or whatever. They like saw I was in bed and did not care, which was odd. My roommate was in the shower and she like came out and like slammed the door because she was like in a towel. That was really odd. The location was really not good. We were like in the ghetto of Paris. It was a really sketchy area. They obviously booked this place for the price. To be fair, it was a nice hotel minus having zero space, as I've already said many times, but it was extremely far from everything. The Eiffel Tower was probably a 30-minute metro ride. Any sightseeing you're gonna be doing, you're gonna be on the metro for a while. Okay, so the beds here were bricks. I give it a 4 out of 10. They were also pushed together. I'd say the cleanliness rating is an 8 out of 10. It was standard, no issues there. Overall, I give it like a 6 out of 10. The breakfast here was decent, but yeah, wouldn't recommend. I hope they switched the Paris hotel. So in London, we stayed at the Good Hotel London. This was on a dock, so it was a floating hotel, which was cool. The hotel itself was super nice, but it was so far from everything. You were taking at least a 30-minute metro ride to get anywhere you wanted to go. So that was really, really annoying, to be honest, because you didn't want to go back to the hotel to change or like grab something because it's so far out of the way. Also, this had its own story. Every stay supports a child going to school, which was really nice. In the rooms, they had pictures of these kids that were just staring at you all night, and that was pretty weird. Didn't love that. Like, they could have put them in the hallway. Like, why do we have a child staring at us while we sleep? So the door in this place was the bathroom door, but it was also the shower door. So if you wanted to pee and then shower, you gotta flip the door, which was weird, but at least there was a door, I guess. Because of that door, there was no real privacy. It was still a small room, but definitely bigger than Paris. Like, at least I could put my suitcase on the ground and open it up. So this is the first place where our beds were separated, which was nice because I didn't feel like I was sleeping on top of my roommate. They were pretty hard still, so I'd give it like a 6 out of 10. Cleanliness was a 10 out of 10. It was a very clean place. Overall, I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10 just because I just wish it was in a better location. In Amsterdam, we stayed at the Holiday Inn Express North Riverside. So because it was a Holiday Inn, it was more standard American size, which was really nice. There was not a ton of floor space, but the bathroom was definitely bigger, and we finally got a shower door. It was a huge shower too. They were full beds, so a little bigger than we had previously. Everything was still like 30 minutes away on the metro, but it was only 1 to 2 stops into town, so that was really nice. This was like a 10-minute walk from the station, so we had to walk and then get on the metro, but at least this metro system was much smaller than London's. It felt way easier to like get into town and get back. So this bed comfort rating is an 8 out of 10. It was the comfiest yet, and the beds were apart. Cleanliness was a 10 out of 10, very standard Holiday Inn. So I gave this place a 9 out of 10. Other than location, like there were really no problems. So in central Germany on the way to Prague, we stayed at the Ibis Castle Melsungen. I think that's how you say it. This was in the middle of nowhere, and the stairwells literally looked like a prison. It was a scary place. There was no elevator, so we all had to carry our bags up the stairs. The whole place smelled extremely musty, dusty, crusty. Like, it was gross. The rooms were spacious. This was like the most floor space we've had yet. There was still no shower door after all that, and we had to walk 20 minutes to get to like all the restaurants. It was like a very small town. Places to eat were really limited. So the bed comfort rating here, I gave a 0 out of 10 because this place ended up giving us a huge bug bed scare. Bug bed. Oh my gosh. This place gave us a bed bug scare. Still have no idea if my roommate actually had them or didn't. She got this crazy rash after we left this hotel, and our tour director said it really looks like bed bugs. I also had like a ton of bites, but I think they ended up being mosquito bites. Cleanliness is also a 0 out of 10. Not surprising because there were huge cobwebs all under our bed. Floors were super dirty. Terrible place. Hated every second. So obviously this overall rating is getting a 0 out of 10. Get me out of here. Our next hotel was the B&B Hotel Prague. So that's just the brand name of the hotel. It's not an actual bed and breakfast, but you do get breakfast, of course. The location was okay. It was like a 25-ish minute walk into the city center. We could have also used the tram, but it was kind of confusing, so we opted just to walk. But it was a decent standard hotel. The bathroom was fine. The beds were fine. I would literally take anything after that terrifying experience in central Germany. So the beds were comfy enough, so I gave it like an 8 out of 10. 10. They were twins that were pushed together. Cleanliness was also an 8 out of 10. It was just a standard hotel clean. So overall, I gave this place an 8 out of 10. The hotel was just decent. In Munich, we stayed at the Holiday Inn Express, Munich City East. It was a super big, nice bathroom, and we finally got a shower door. This was the biggest shower that we had yet. The room was nice. It was pretty close to the train station where we caught trains into the city. So good location, very decent hotel. Loved it. Bed comfort rating, I gave a 9 out of 10. It was really comfortable. I had great sleep here. Cleanliness rating, I gave it 10 out of 10, and they did full housekeeping. So overall, I gave this place a 10 out of 10, probably just because they had a shower door. I can't believe like how many places did not have a shower door that I would be talking about it this much. So in Switzerland, in Lucerne, we stayed at the Ibis Styles Lucerne City. It was a decent standard hotel. It had a tub shower and a pretty big bathroom. It was a decent location and walkable to everything, which was really nice. It had a really good breakfast, and honestly, it was a good stay. The room wasn't the biggest, but it wasn't an issue. It was only a 6-minute walk to the Lion, which was really cool. We had more twin beds pushed together. I gave it an 8 out of 10 because the bed was comfy. Cleanliness, I gave it 10 out of 10, and overall, I gave it a 9 out of 10. It was a very decent hotel, one of the best we stayed at. So the 10th place we stayed at was Hotel Venezia in Venice. It was not in Venice. Let me get that straight right now. This is a hotel outside of Venice. I don't know technically where we were, but we were not in the city, so don't think you can just go out and explore. This was a really gaudy, covered in gold hotel, and it was scary. It had a tiny bathroom and a room where we could barely open our suitcases. It wasn't close to anything except for like some random restaurants around. It had a good breakfast spread, but I'm so glad we were only here for 2 nights. Ugh, it just felt gross. I gave this bed comfort rating a 7 out of 10 because we had twins pushed together. Again, there's a mirror above our beds, so I don't know what that's used for. Also, let me just say this right now. If you're going, don't be like us. Check for bed bugs at the very start of the trip, especially when you're in central Germany. You should be checking everywhere in Europe, to be honest. Check every single place. I know that's a lot. That's like 15 different accommodations you're gonna be checking, but getting bed bugs would be so much worse. Check every single time. I gave cleanliness a 7 out of 10 just because there was dirt or hairs. So overall, I gave this place like a 7 out of 10. Did not enjoy, but the breakfast was good. So in Florence, we stayed at the B&B Firenze City Center. So this was another B&B brand hotel. It was a big room and honestly really decent. Our front ceiling collapsed in the middle of the night, so that wasn't the best. Luckily, that didn't happen to us. It was a nice enough bathroom. It had good AC. The walls were extremely thin. We could hear everyone talking. It wasn't too far from stuff, but a 30+ minute walk, and there's really no public transportation in Florence. You're gonna be Ubering or you're gonna be walking over a half hour if you stay here, but we were only here for like 2 nights, so it wasn't bad. Bed comfort rating, I gave an 8 out of 10. It was decent. The beds were pushed together. Cleanliness, I gave a 9 out of 10. It was pretty clean. So overall, I gave like an 8 out of 10 because I can't believe our front ceiling collapsed. The location also wasn't the best, but it was fine. In Rome, we stayed at the Rome Eterna. It was close to a street of bars and restaurants and a dry cleaner that we ended up using. Hotel laundry was super expensive. It was over 80 euros. This was a really fancy hotel, so I know why it was that much, but definitely go to the dry cleaner. I don't remember the name, but I'll put it right here. That's really close. It's right down the street. It was only 10 euro. I had a big bag of laundry and it was only 10 euro to just wash, dry, and fold. It's your best option there besides the hotel laundry, but they did shrink a few of my friends' tops. Don't give them anything that you wouldn't want dried. But this hotel was super nice. This was our biggest room, biggest bathroom. Loved these beds. I had fantastic sleep in these beds. The only issue with this place was the location. It was over a 30-minute bus ride to get to anything, and it was over an hour bus ride to get to Vatican City, so definitely super far out of the way, and the bus ride was brutal. If you want to hear about that, our Vatican City experience, check out my vlogs. If you want to see my vlogs also, those are up. Make sure you go check those out. But the bed comfort rating here, absolute 10 out of 10. Had fantastic sleep. We had queen beds here, so it was great. They were so comfy. I felt like I was in my bed at home, especially since we had 3 nights here. I was super glad that it was at this place. Cleanliness rating 10 out of 10. Overall rating 10 out of 10. It was my favorite hotel of the trip. The only downside was location. The Roman bus system is horrible. They just literally don't show up, so getting anywhere on a time schedule was really hard to do. And because our hotel was so far away, we were stranded multiple times. But the buses here were so unreliable. Loved the Roman hotel, hated its location, hated the bus system. It was not a good time. Yeah. In Athens, we stayed at the Elisos Hotel. The location was okay. It was close to a bunch of restaurants on one street, but not to any shopping or anything. The room was decent enough. It wasn't very big. The bathroom was pretty small, but our AC worked, and that was pretty much all that mattered. The bed rating here is a 5 out of 10. They were really hard beds, and they were pushed together again. Cleanliness rating, I gave an 8 out of 10. Standard, decent, clean. Overall, I gave it a 7 out of 10. The location was alright. It was kind of in the ghetto again, and the beds were super hard. In Paros, we stayed at the Portobello di Paros. There was no ventilation in the bathrooms when we were showering, which wasn't great because it just made the room really hot. It was a cute little place though, and close to the beach. It was literally like a 5-minute walk to the beach. The room was a good size compared to everywhere else, and there was also a nice rooftop breakfast. Bed comfort rating, I gave an 8 out of 10. It was decent, and they were very much apart. Cleanliness, I gave a 9 out of 10. Pretty clean place. So overall, I gave it an 8 out of 10. It was a decent stay. So we finally got to our last hotel, our 15th accommodation of the trip. We were originally supposed to stay at the Athenaeum Smart Hotel, but we got changed last minute to the Athenaeum Luxury Hotel. Our tour director said this was EF's first time giving us a 5-star hotel on this trip. Granted, this is the first time they've done plus, but that was super cool. I unfortunately did not get to stay at this hotel because I started doing my solo travel and I went to Santorini from Paros instead of going back to Athens with the group. But my roommate sent us this little room tour, so I'll play that now. So I didn't stay here, but everybody loved it. I mean, it was a 5-star experience. They give you a whole bottle of wine for the room that is complimentary. They gave a ton of stuff in the bathroom that was complimentary, and of course super nice working AC, comfortable big beds. And my roommate said that this was much nicer than the Roman hotel. That's saying a lot because I thought that place was great. I guess I'm just gonna give all the categories a 10 out of 10 for this place because I didn't get to experience it, but everybody loved it. So if you get to stay at this place, you're really lucky. Okay, and that is it for accommodations. Now I'm going to talk just really quickly about some food, just our included meals, and then some places that I went on my own that I recommend. But the breakdown of included meals are welcome dinner in Barcelona, included dinner in Amsterdam, included dinner in Rome, and farewell dinner in Athens. So you have 4 included dinners, which I think is kind of low for a 35-day trip. I'm pretty sure the essential version, you only have your farewell and welcome dinner. So our welcome dinner in Barcelona was so not good. Very disappointing to say the least. We were given a few options and I ended up choosing the vegetable ravioli. They gave me quite literally 4 raviolis for my entire dinner. I was supposed to be full after that. They gave us some small appetizers, but I was still starving after our dinner, and we also got like ice cream for dessert, and I was so hungry. I will say they gave us lots of wine. If you chose the wine option, they gave me like a whole pitcher of wine. Very drunk after this dinner. So because I got 0 food but a ton of wine, I'm gonna give the welcome dinner like a 6 out of 10. In the plus version, you also have an included dinner in Amsterdam. The Amsterdam dinner was good. We got burgers, so I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. My burger was really good. They had like regular burgers and veggie burgers. We also got like 2 drinks as usual. We also had included dinner in Rome, giving it a 2 out of 10 right off the bat. The food was weird. It was odd. No one really ate here, but they did have super good lemonade. I don't know. We went out to eat after this. The farewell dinner I did not attend, but my roommate said her pork made her sick, so I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 10. She also said most people like didn't like their food. Not sure about the people who ordered one of the traditional Greek dishes, because my tour director was super hype about that and she said that was really good there. So now for places that I went independently. First place I want to talk about is at Hotel Madison, and it's a rooftop restaurant. My friend made a reservation here and had us all come, and it's definitely a bougie place at a bougie price. So if you want to splurge, go here because it was probably one of my favorite meals of my entire summer. It was a beautiful restaurant where you could see like the entire London skyline. It was really cool. It ended up being a windy, rainy London day per usual, so we got moved inside, which honestly was nice. So totally depends on the weather, playing it on the nicest day. I ended up getting tuna tartare for an appetizer, lobster mac and cheese or my main, which was chef's kiss, and then a brownie with caramel ice cream on top. Oh, my brother makes phenomenal brownies, but this was seriously one of the best brownies I've ever had. Like, I would go back just to get this dessert. Please eat it. Please eat it for me. So in Rome, we went to Salato 42. We weren't planning on going there, but we just stumbled upon it. One of the best drinks I had the whole trip was here. I had a sage raspberry drink and it was so good. If you want to grab drinks there, I recommend that one. If you like sweet drinks, not cheap. But again, what is cheap in Europe? Like nothing. In Rome, we also got gelato. When in Rome, we went to Vinci. The gelato here was really good. And then the last place I'm going to talk about was in Athens. So my tour director actually used to work here. She's Greek and from Athens, so she knows where all the best restaurants were. So we went to Sava's restaurant in Athens, and this was by far the best chicken gyro I had. The tzatziki was so good. If you're gonna get a chicken gyro, go there. And if you get Effie as a tour director, tell her I say hi. She is such a gem. Love her. So that was all for food. So now I'm gonna touch on transportation really quickly. There are many methods of transportation for this trip because you're going all over Western Europe. So I talked about this in the accommodation section, but if you didn't watch that, luckily they got rid of the longest bus ride, which was 9 hours from Barcelona to central France. That was a nightmare of a ride. Everyone was extremely delusional, like no one was happy. And I will also say with buses, if you get a smaller group, it definitely comes in handy with the bus because then you get a seat to yourself. I am so happy that I just got to put my bag or my legs in the seat next to me instead of having a whole person there and having to respect their space. During a ride as long as that, you definitely need your space, and I was laying down to sleep and all that. But now the plus version is going from Barcelona straight to Paris on a train. You guys are super lucky. I wish we had done that. But the essential version, I believe, is still going to central France. So good luck, guys. The second longest bus ride is 7 hours from Amsterdam to central Germany. So you will still be going on that one. They haven't gotten rid of that yet. What I will say about buses is we rode on different buses the entire trip. Like, you do not keep the same bus with you. The longest stretch we had was with our Italian bus driver. I think he drove us from like Amsterdam to Florence, and that was a super long stretch. I don't know how he did it. The next form of transportation we took was a bullet train from Paris to London. I personally got a very uncomfortable seat. It was only like a 2-hour ride, but I was in one of the bench seats where we had a table and then 2 other people facing us. I had no space to like put my legs, but other than that, it's pretty much just a regular train. Also, the seats are not all together, so I was sitting with like 3 random people. The ferry from London to Amsterdam is overnight, and it was actually way nicer than I was expecting. Like, it was a huge boat, and it had one big restaurant and then like bars and stuff on board. There were a few shops where you could get like perfume. It was kind of like an airport store. There was also alcohol on board for purchase if you want to go crazy. We were planning on like getting a little bottle of wine and having a little night, but honestly, we were so exhausted. We all went to bed at like 11. I will say though, like, our tour director didn't completely tell us what it would be like on board or before. So if you want a cheaper dinner, then like grab one beforehand and just take it with you, or eat a really big lunch. We started making our way at like 5 and then didn't get on board until 9. And then the restaurant opened up. The food on board was not good. I'm telling you right now, I had a pizza and it was wet. It was not good. I think it was 12 euro for this personal pizza. They also can charge whatever they want because it's your only option. There's also supposed to be a cinema, but they had it closed for when we were there because it wasn't operating properly. So usually you can watch movies, but we couldn't. The room was definitely small, and you can look in my vlogs for that footage, or I'll also put a little bit of it here. We had a bunk bed, a full bathroom. The bathroom was obviously small because you're on a boat. It was a pretty nice shower. It was actually nice hot water, which I wasn't expecting. All the necessities were there. They had Wi-Fi on board. They had a free option, which didn't really load much. And then they had a paid version where you could pay €4 for Wi-Fi that night. But honestly, it's only one night. You're getting to Amsterdam like really early in the morning, so I wouldn't pay for that. But I will say, depending on your plan, you want to turn off your data, because if it sees you're cruising, they will charge you the cruising price. So after that, it was all bus travel until you get to Rome. And then when you leave Rome, you get on a super early flight to Athens. We woke up at 4 a.m. for this flight. It was really rough. People who had gone out the night before and were literally literally yakking at the airport. Wouldn't recommend doing that. Won't be fun. But it was an easy like 2-hour flight. All of the seats were random. Everyone struggled with the weight limit. Our weight limit that we had was up to 50 pounds, 23 kilograms. If you had a bag over that, you had to pay 70 euro excess baggage fee. I didn't have to pay that, luckily, because I brought a smaller suitcase, but most of the group ended up having to pay. Definitely budget and plan for that if you're gonna bring a giant suitcase. I will say I packed a medium check size bag for 2 months, so if I can do that, anyone can for half that time. A lot of the people on my trip did have like the 90-pound huge checked bags. Obviously up to you, your packing style, how much you want to pay, but I personally would definitely not want to pay for my luggage. And if you want to know more about packing and how I packed, you can go to my packing video, that's up. I will also touch on packing a tiny bit here. The last form of transportation was a ferry. So we took a ferry from Athens to Paros Island. We got first class tickets, which was nice. I put my noise canceling headphones on and just knocked out the entire time. It was like a 3-hour ferry. Disembarking was super chaotic. Everyone was pushing and I was so done with European crowds. At this point, we got to just leave our bags at the very bottom, so we didn't have to worry about stairs and our bags, which was really nice. I didn't go on the ferry back to Athens from Paros because I took my own ferry to Santorini, but I was on a tiny boat there and the waves were rocking. The ferry going back to Athens was also huge, so seasickness is probably not as big of a scare as it would be on a tiny boat like I was on, but they did say on the way back it was a 5-hour ride. People did get some seasickness on the way back, so if you're prone to that, definitely pack some Dramamine. So that's it for transportation, and now I'm going to be talking about money and budgeting. So you run into 4 different currencies on this trip. All of the currencies fluctuate, so none of them are fixed. So I'm just going to be giving the conversion rates when we were there. So the first one is euro, and it was $1 USD to 90 cents euro. The second is Great British pound or sterling, and it spiked when we were there, unfortunately. It was 1 USD to 78 cents Great British pounds. The third is Swiss francs, and it's crazy because a dollar got you further in Switzerland than it did in London, which really hurt. It was also 1 USD to 90 cents Swiss francs. And then the last currency is a Czech koruna, which was 1 USD to 23 Czech korunas. They do price differently, like things are hundreds or thousands there, so it's not like you're getting a huge deal, but definitely cheaper than a euro. So for my budget breakdown, keep in mind I split all of this up just for the Ultimate Europe tour, not my entire summer. I spent $240 on tips, $1,195 on food. I spent $130 on drinks and covers. I spent $940 on excursions / sightseeing. So this is all like museums, entry fees, and like paragliding in the Swiss Alps, so things like that. Also, as I said before, I'm making a whole video dedicated to excursions, so if you want to watch that, it's in the description. On transportation, like Ubers, I spent $135. Public transportation cards are included in your tour, so your tour director will be handing those out as soon as you get to whatever city. They put a pretty good limit on all of our cards. I didn't have to refill any of them. On souvenirs / shopping, I spent $500. So my total amount spent on this trip was $3,160. Kind of rough, kind of hurt, but I've heard people have spent way more. I will also say I'm not really a person who like holds back from spending. Like if I want to do something, I will do it, but I'm also usually not a person who just splurges on things. Like I'm very meticulous with what I spend my money on. Obviously everyone's budgeting is different. Everyone's shopping patterns are different. Budget the amount of money that you think you're going to be spending. I know it's hard to say, but like how much I spent on food is pretty standard. The excursions, I definitely saw almost everything that I could. I didn't go inside museums or like chapels that you have to pay extra for, but I did also do a $200 excursion that a lot of people don't do, or like Disneyland Paris, which was like over $100. So I'll go into depth more about that in my video, but just be mindful about what you want to spend your money on and what you want to make a priority. So now I'm gonna get into packing a little bit. I do have a video dedicated to this where I go much more into depth and you can see me packing and struggling for this trip, but I did try to tailor this section just to Ultimate Europe and not my entire summer itinerary. So extra essentials for this trip that I wish I had brought or needed the most was wrinkle spray, Shout bleach wipes. My roommate brought like a 75 count of these wipes and she was using them constantly. definitely, you know yourself, if you're a messy eater, pack these. Wrinkle spray is also super convenient for those linen pieces because they wrinkle super easily and they're gonna be stuffed in your suitcase. Super cheap, just go to Target. My water bottle came in clutch. I was gifted an Awala water bottle on the brand media trip in Switzerland, so that came with me everywhere. It was a 21-ounce water bottle. I think that was the perfect size. So shop Awala if you want to, or just any insulated 21-ounce water bottle will do. You don't really need a Brita one because most of the water is potable, but we were buying giant water bottles at like any convenience store that we could find that was under €3. So a water bottle is definitely an essential because you're going to be walking around on these long walking tours. You're going to need water. Another essential is a book or your AirPods for the bus because these long rides get really boring. You're going to want some entertainment and your phone won't always be working depending on what kind of service you get. So a lot of people downloaded movies or shows and watched those on the bus or listen to music, obviously. I read my book. I thought I was going to read it more, to be honest. You have a lot of bus time to do nothing. One of the biggest essentials is comfy shoes. We were walking at least 20,000 steps a day, except for travel days, so you definitely want a reliable go-to pair of like sneakers to wear. I wore my platform Air Forces pretty much everywhere, so I'd say the best like comfy cute option you can find is a good staple. Also, my hanging toiletry holder that I got from Amazon definitely came in handy because we were moving so much and there wasn't a lot of sink space in the bathroom, so it being able to hang there while my roommate used the little sink space we had was definitely needed. Also, being able to just pack that up and fold it immediately when we were changing hotels was super useful. Everything I bought on Amazon will be on my Amazon storefront, so I'll have that linked as well. I made a list specially dedicated to Ultimate Europe, so you can go find all the things that I bought on Amazon or all the things I wish I'd bought from Amazon for this trip in my Amazon storefront. Also, I wish I had brought lotion and conditioner, and I don't know why I didn't just buy it during the trip, but I didn't want to add liquids, blah blah blah. Only like one of the hotels had lotion and conditioner, and it was the Roman one. Nowhere else did. So you're gonna need body lotion, and my hair wishes it had conditioner all summer, so definitely pack those, and your shampoo if you don't want to use a 3-in-1 because most places had a 3-in-1 situation. A mini fan was also something I wish I'd brought. I know a lot of people have said that and you're like, oh, mini fan, like I'm not gonna want to carry that around, but you will, especially if you're going from June to August. You need a mini fan. They're only $10 on Amazon. It's in my list. Go buy it. Going off of that, you need a portable charger for sure. I had my portable charger with me and I used it constantly. You're out all day, your phone's gonna need to recharge. Definitely have that on you. Packing cubes are another essential. I talk about this in my packing video, but I could not imagine unpacking and repacking without my packing cubes this entire trip because I could barely do it with them. Having everything organized and everything squeezed into them, like, you need packing cubes. If you're gonna get one thing off of my list, it's packing cubes, please. And then my last essential are medicine. Anything you use on a regular basis over the course of a month, like pain meds, Dramamine, cold meds, you need all of that, especially the cold medicine because everyone eventually gets sick. Healthcare is free in Europe. You can easily just go to a pharmacy and get cold medicine, but I would rather just have cheap name brand cold medicine with me that I can just use. And I also have a pill pack organizer that I bought for this trip, and that's also in my Amazon storefront. So for a clothing breakdown, I definitely go more into depth about this in my packing video, but just the summarized version, you need one like go-to jacket because definitely at night, Paris, London, and Amsterdam were cold. So I personally brought this like leather jacket that I wore so much, and something that you can use over going out outfits and also just casual outfits. You also need a rain jacket because it rained a ton in London. Also, like in Switzerland, you never know when you're gonna need it, so just have it. They roll up really tight, just bring it. I brought 1 to 2 pairs of jeans. I really only wore one. I had a bunch of other different pants, but I only brought 1 pair of jeans just because they're so bulky. But I will say I did wear them a lot in the colder cities, especially. I'd say like 1 to 2 pair of jeans and you're good, but definitely some other pairs of pants. You definitely need a comfy bus outfit. I had my Lululemon joggers ready to go. Also a comfy bus hoodie. I wear this as my sleep mask as well, and if you don't need it, you can also also just use it as a pillow when you're trying to sleep on the bus. So I brought way more than this, but I'd say you need like 10 to 15 tops. I would bring neutrals and ones that you can mix and match for sure with multiple bottoms, and also a good mix of like cold weather versus warm. I didn't really bring any cold weather tops, but I would say at least one long sleeve for London, a mix of tops that you can wear with like jeans or skirts. Bring around 10 bottoms, 3 to 4 pairs of pants, and then like skirts for the rest and some shorts. You probably don't need more than that. I brought a few pairs that I didn't end up needing. I definitely brought way more than 5, but I would say around 5 dresses. You know yourself, you know what you're gonna wear, so if you're gonna wear more dresses than pants, then pack that, or vice versa. I will say flowy dresses are the way to go. You don't want to be in bodycon when you're sweating and walking around all day. I didn't wear a bunch of bodycon dresses that I brought. Bring flowier dresses for sure. They're also more in style in Europe. Back to shoes, just one go-to sneaker, one go-to sandal is best. Good to start with. If you want to bring more than that, go for it. I brought like 4 pairs of shoes total, and I did wear all of them. So I would say like 2 sneakers and 1 regular sandal, 1 waterproof sandal if you want to copy what I packed. But I will just say don't bring any heels because you won't be wearing them. Girls in Europe don't wear heels to clubs or anything like that, so feel free to just wear your sneakers with your cute outfit. That's what I did. So again, for a more in-depth breakdown, you can go to my packing video, but this was just my summarized packing list. So now we are at the random tip stage of this video, and if you're gonna watch any section, I hope it was this section. My first tip is that Bolt is a must. Please download it when you go. It's basically European Uber. I've done rides that were as cheap as €3 on Bolt. Like Uber, I've never seen a $3 ride, but Bolt can get that low. In certain cities, you definitely want to check both Bolt and Uber to see which one's cheaper, but Bolt came in clutch for me constantly. Also, a good app to download is City Mapper. I use it almost every time I go to New York, but in Europe it was way more helpful than I expected it to be. It's much better than Google Maps in my opinion. We used it definitely for the whole first half of the trip. It was more reliable than Google Maps, all around Paris, all around Barcelona, all around London for sure. So download City Mapper, fantastic app. As I said in the packing section, there's no conditioner or lotion to be found in any of the hotels except for like 1, so definitely pack that if you need it. There are so many more early mornings in this trip than I had anticipated. After Munich, it was pretty much go, go, go. Like Italy was rough. We were getting up pretty much every morning super early, so everyone is sleep deprived. You are almost bound to get sick. Some people on my trip did get lucky, they did not get sick, but most people did. Pack that cold medicine. Better to be safe than sorry. Barely takes up any space in your suitcase. You want to have it. Pretty much everyone got sick by Amsterdam. They have tap to pay everywhere in Europe. I loved it. So set up your Apple Pay with your card and you don't even need your wallet. Lessens the chance of pickpocketing. The only thing you need cash for really is to tip local guides, some bathrooms after you pass central Germany, and some restaurants are cash only. So this trip is long. There probably will be drama within your group. Just be prepared for it. Kind of how life is. Like you guys are together for a whole month, so problems will arise. Just keep in mind like you won't be seeing most of these people ever again. So is it really that deep? Probably not. One of my biggest tips is you don't have to do every single city walk or every excursion. Please don't think you have to book every one of EF's excursions because you don't. They're not always the best. Sorry EF, but they're not. So really just book what you definitely want to do. And for the city walks, if you're too tired, don't go. I was pushing myself until we got to Italy to go on every city walk, and then in Italy I was miserable. So I did not go on a few of them after that, and I was much better off for it, sleeping in. So don't think you have to make every single city walk. Try to put your health first, because if you don't, then you're gonna be sick and miss more. Also, don't be afraid to book things solo. Like, don't be afraid to book an excursion solo, because some of my favorite times were when I booked things randomly when the group was doing other things and I got to explore something that I really wanted to do. Kind of a YOLO moment. Like, you're not gonna get this trip back. Do what you really want to do. Don't just go with the group and do something you aren't super excited about. Also, if you book things beforehand. Now the chat is always open on the EF app, so you can always message and say, hey, like, who wants to do this with me? That's what I did for the Harry Potter tour and Disneyland Paris, so we booked those beforehand, so that was really useful. But if no one's going with you, like, you can just ask your tour director for advice on how to get from A to B and you'll be okay. Like, you don't have to be with people 24/7, and depending on if you're introvert, extrovert, I definitely cherished my alone time on this trip because I was constantly with people. When you get the public transportation tickets from your tour director for whatever city, don't put them near your phone. I had so many of mine deactivate because I had them in my phone. Word to the wise, don't start by putting it near your phone because it will deactivate it, even the paper ones, which kind of blew my mind because I was like, it's paper. The best coffee shop in Amsterdam that we found was called Bluebird. It was recommended by our local guide in Amsterdam. He was an Amsterdam native and knew where to go. Definitely made a few trips there. It was only €5 a joint, so pretty affordable, honestly, more affordable than I was expecting. And the people there are really nice and used to answering questions if you have any. Go to Bluebird if you're interested in that. So about excursions, definitely for this trip, I would recommend not booking the most popular things through EF just because they're so easy to go to solo. I definitely talk about this more in depth during my excursion video, but for things like the Palace of Versailles, I would definitely book that without EF and then talk to your tour director because I was able to book it solo and then take the bus with them. It was less than half the price of what everybody else paid. Kind of lucked out with that. Worst comes to worst, people get there. Like, you can take the metro there. EF is charging almost double the price of the regular admission to most of these things, so I would try to book without them. For so many things, you want to book through the official website. We booked a Colosseum tour that brought us inside. On the official website, it was only $19. My friends decided to book this Viator admission thing. It ended up being illegal because they charged double the price of the official website, and then they were not allowed in. Especially for the Colosseum, don't book that on third party. Book through the official website. It's almost always cheaper. The only one that tends to sell out is the Vatican, so try to book that as early as you possibly can. But if you can't find it, I did book that through Get Your Guide, which will be linked in my booklet that I have in the description. I have everything linked in that booklet and extra information, so feel free to browse it. But we lucked out, so we just booked admission price tickets while everything else was over $100, which was crazy to me. We only paid like $35. So I just want to emphasize that this is not a vacation. It's a trip you will never forget in your entire life, but it is not a vacation. You are getting no sleep on this trip. Like, it was kind of rough, to be honest, but you see so much. Pretty much all the highlights of Western Europe you get to experience. Wouldn't trade it for the world. So glad I did it, but I slept for an entire week when I got back because I was so exhausted. I also mentioned this in my accommodation section, but check for bed bugs at every hotel you go to. That goes for all European trips. You want to be checking because we had a bed bug scare mid-tour and it would have ruined everything. Suitcases would have been infested. It would have been a nightmare. You'd rather be safe than sorry. Check every hotel before you get into that bed, before you get your suitcase open. Like, just check. So another tip I have is if you're a girly who loves having her nails done on vacation, but you know they're gonna grow out over a month, this was my solution. I got Glamnetic press-ons. These are my favorite nails to wear as press-ons because I love the shape and you can change them out so easily. I have a bunch of different nails from them and I switched them out during my whole 2-month summer in Europe and loved it. I also have a discount code with them if you want. Look in my information booklet and it'll be linked. But my favorite styles with them are the Haley, Madam, and Heavenly. Okay, so we made it to the end of the video. Overall, I'm gonna give this trip a 4 out of 5. I definitely saw a ton and got a little taste of 9 different countries. There are definitely some that I want to go back for sure. This was a once-in-a-lifetime trip and I absolutely recommend it. It was just a lot of go, 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 so that's the only reason I gave it a 4 out of 5 and not a 5 because it's a hard trip to get through, but super glad I went on it. Definitely would edit the itinerary a little bit. I wish we had more time in Switzerland and and not so much in Prague, but absolutely recommend this trip. And if it's your first one, I would recommend going on maybe a shorter trip with EF just to see if you like it before going on this huge adventure with them. I was sure I liked it, so that's why I was ready to book, but I would definitely recommend doing a shorter 10-day trip. If you love it, go for this one. I know that was a lot of information. If you have more questions or I didn't answer a question that you had, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. It's @AnnaRichter, and I'll be happy to answer. I love talking about these trips and helping people out. Definitely don't be shy in asking. But yeah, I think that's all for this video, so see you in the next one.